Hello, friends, and welcome to your favorite show about shows. It is the Antenna with Spittin' Speeds, Dave Martinez.
What's going on, man?
I'm not Fino. Hey, alert, if you're listening to this, or I guess watching this static image on YouTube, we got a draft show tonight for the NFL draft that's going to be a completely different and fun draft show. It's going to be 8 o'clock, like on all the Twitters and the YouTubes and whatever. But we're instead of like being like, oh, how does this guy fit for the Bears? It's going to be, all right, the Bears just picked. Let's look at the market for the Vikings and talk about who they're going to pick. All future looking. Well, not all. I mean, like we got Gene there, so obviously we could talk, some deep scouting-ish stuff. But like,
yeah, but I mean, listen, if you're a football fan, that's one thing. But if you want to make money, you need to get down with the Seven Oracles live stream for sure.
That if you are a draft fan, or if you're just an action, like not even like action in a betting term, but just like like my kid's T-ball, right? Like when someone's batting, the coach throws balls to the outfield anyway because it takes so long to
right.
Action, like just constant movement. That's what I mean.
Second screen experience. We're putting the fun in functional football content tonight with Seven Oracles.
Let's get into Survivor. Dane, and I guess we should have been saying this, for the first 5 or 6 episodes. There are spoilers here, but I think if you're listening to this at this point, you've watched and you're part of it. I don't have like an overarching theme here outside of Kalshi spoiling again and someone knows something again, which is disappointing and kind of deflates the fun. But as you were saying before we hit record, we're in good shape. If you've been following us on the show, if you are me and Dane, we're in good shape, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to your point, at the very beginning, right, we threw around a budget and we made 4 picks of people, right? Of those 4 bets that we made, 3 of them are still live. Charlie is the only person that we backed that is gone. We backed Tiffany at 1%. We backed Emily at 1%. Yes. We had the no Aubry at 12%, which is now gone as high as 30 and is back down around 20% as of now. And then, a few weeks ago, we decided to put a couple of shekels on additional people, and those were Cirie and Rizo. So at this point, we have 40-50% of the market. There are 10 people left. We've got Tiffany, Emily, Cirie, and Rizo. That's 4 out of the 10. And we are live on this no Aubry. And, some of the no Aubry stuff is really kind of climbing as people either think that some of the spoilers were misguided, or as we start to see people, whether that is Cirie, Rizo, whether that's Jonathan, whether that's Joe, who I want to talk about a little bit today, are starting to gain a little bit of favor. And there's been other kind of spoilers. Like, Nando, remember I sent you that thing on social media where there was a picture at the Grammys that specifically had, I think it was Joe, Ozzy, and Cirie, right? And they were like, oh, could this be a tell of the final 3? And so, maybe there's a little bit of energy moving away from Aubry. But to your point, if you've been down with us at the Antenna since day one, you have a decent portfolio. So the question I have back for you is, that's cool, right? We got a decent portfolio. When is the cash out option? Because still, Aubry in the 70s, Cirie, who was as high as like 21%, is back down to 11. And then, you got a Rizo at 5. You got a Joe at 5, a Jonathan at 3. I would have thought that at this point in the show, we would have multiple people at, 8, 9%, right? So where do you think, if we're thinking ahead, is the cash out option, or do we just, like William Wallace in the Battle of York when the horses are charging, go, hold?
That's what, so also I'd like to asterisk, I got a crap load of Ozzy shares at 1 cent, and he's now at 2. True. So personally, I mean, I would group this in because this is our show. You are part of this Ozzy thing with me. I've doubled my money, but still. But here's the thing, and this ties into it. I don't know when, like, Cirie in the middle of the week, as you mentioned, was like as high as I think 20 cents, maybe 21 cents on Kalshi.
Over 20.
And I'm like, oh, we're going up, right? And then it just went back down. And so, like, I was waiting for it to go, for her to win, essentially. Like, I'm holding I'm treating each one differently, right? Like, so Cirie, I'm going to hold until the end. And if she gets voted out, if it happens, it happens. But, like, I'll at least hold her until the start of the
Emily,
final
they're
episode.
not winning. Tiff and Emily, they're not winning. So we got them at 1%. Is it like if they get to 5? If they get to 8?
Yeah, I'm not, dude. I mean, I know we talk MVP and LVP. I've lost Emily. I'm done with Emily. I think even liking her as a character on the show. I don't, and not because she's going after Ozzy. I'm kind of tired of like the looks that they cut to that she makes every fight. Like if
The
there's
thing with the
some
rice.
tribal, yeah, the rice thing was, come on, dude. Like I get it, but like, come on, dude.
It's like
I don't
anyone
know.
who goes up against Cirie, right? Because she started talking to Cirie about making the rice, and that is a death blow to you, because you were saying about with Cirie, she once again this episode was controlling it. She is the one who got people to think about Christian. Even Jonathan, she got Jonathan, who is no part of her crew. She
Yeah.
got Jonathan to go
Yeah.
on to Christian. She got Ozzy. She directs it in a sly way every single time. And so if Emily's going to start talking smack or try to disagree with Cirie, and then you saw Cirie on the beach with Tiff being like, this girl needs to get out of here. Like you just mess with Cirie at your own peril.
This is a very friendly Cirie jury so far too, I would say. Like, I mean, I don't know if this is an Aubry friendly jury. There's always that stuff we never see. Maybe some bonds are being, and like, dude, like I think I've been looking up enough Survivor stuff where my Twitter for you feed now is like littered with just like Survivor people talking about Survivor, which wasn't the case before. Like I'm getting fed it by the algorithm, and they're saying some interesting stuff. Like there's some anti-Jeff sentiment, but there's also like tied to that is, like in the thread, there's too much Jeff, there's too much, this last episode was too much, blah, 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 too much Jimmy Fallon, like all this stuff. But it's taking away from, like, people are referencing these alliances and these bonds they have, and we're not seeing it because they're wasting time with main character syndrome. You know what I mean? And it's like, it would be nice to see, like when Ozzy and Tribal Council last night mentioned, people in my alliance are saying like, now let's play Survivor. And I think they cut to Devens, who rolled his eyes or something, or looked surprised. And it's just kind of like, well, who is Ozzy's alliance right now? How Emily was his day one, stuff like that. Like in my mind, it's Ozzy, Cirie, and Rizo, like what, and Tiff, I guess, kind of tangentially is with them in a way, but I don't know who's where now. And someone's got to map this out because we're only seeing an hour of, how 100
days. Yeah. I think that's fair. And we talk about it, trying to see where are the groups and stuff like that. But I think, and they talk about like the quote unquote players in the middle and all that. But I do think it's a moving target, right? Because it kind of recalibrates almost every episode. I think the biggest, most defined core group, to your point, is this Cirie, Ozzy, Rizo. But I have seen, for example, you're right, I've seen Tiff be kind of a satellite on that. I've seen Stephanie be close to Ozzy and be a satellite to that. I would say that this week, and this goes into my MVP of the week, I saw Joe kind of getting down with them. Like there was the scene where Joe was with Cirie and Ozzy, like on the boat, making fun about Devens and how he was all like, too much trying to get the idol and stuff. So it seemed like Joe, and I know Joe is cool with Jonathan, who is definitively on the opposite of the Cirie, Rizo, Ozzy crew. So I thought that was kind of low key. Part of the reason why I'm going to say for my MVP of this week, Joe is my MVP. His odds have also, if we always look at it, he's been steady at not 1%. He's been at that Rizo level. He's always been at 3%, 4%. I think that's interesting. He was in that Grammys picture I'm talking to you about. That may be a tell. And I think he has started to build bonds with multiple different cliques. And the last thing I'll say about Joe, because you love yourself some Ozzy and the kind of like, he's a beast at challenges. Well, guess what? Joe beat Ozzy heads up in the challenge this week around grip strength. Joe is always one of those guys in challenges as well. And I just say that to mean we're at 10 now. If there could be a time when we're at like 6 or 7 where Joe's on the chopping block, but he wins immunity because he has the ability to win those challenges just like an Ozzy does.
Yes, that was just a brute strength challenge, though. That was like a wrist and forward. But I mean, like if there was swimming and puzzling involved, Ozzy wins, obviously, right? Like untying knots. My MVP was Jonathan, actually, and I think he was my LVP last week. But
he's my LVP this week. So tell me why.
I feel like he's playing the game. You know what I mean? Like, and look, I know he's like in his camera interview, diary, whatever they call it on the show.
Yeah.
He had said something, along the lines of like, "Oh, these are notches in my belt." I was responsible.
I didn't like that was my LVP.
He wasn't responsible for those, but if he thinks he is, like, he's playing the game now, I think, and you're seeing his motors turning a little bit, and again, he's a strong dude who can win some challenges. I'm not sure if like this whole middle thing, maybe they're underestimating them and he doesn't come across as a threat. So I don't know, man. Like I feel like he's coming a little more strategically than he's been portrayed, at least in the last few, or at least maybe good strategy. And
like confessional, whatever you want to call it. That exact quote that you mentioned when he was like talking about all these notches on his belt, Christian, he referenced D. That to me was the exact off-putting thing, and what I thought you would find off-putting, to be quite honest, as well, because to me that was like Dragon Slayer coach-ish, in that kind of vein, which I know you and I don't like. So he was and it also started, the episode started with him like kind of recognizing that he was in a bad spot. So he knew he was going to have to hustle. And I didn't like that all of a sudden he got full of himself thinking he had all the pelts on the wall.
Well, someone might have asked like, hey, who have you been responsible for today? Talk a little bit about that, Jonathan.
Oh, it's fair. The producer. Yeah. I mean,
like
reality TV. Yes.
I went from just this and he threw out a Mr. Jeff again. And that sounds so contrived and fake that I just, as a character in the show, I'm kind of sick of it. But I think that he's thinking in a way now that it's crunch time where he's like, I got to start like, because look, Aubrey's got nothing on her resume, right? What has Aubrey done? Nothing. They used to call them floaters. Now they're calling them in the middle, but like she's kind of floating so far. And maybe, she'll finish strong and have some momentum. And maybe there's stuff happening off camera, but like even Rizo, when they were arguing about like, who should we get, Emily or Christian, Rizo was kind of like, no, we should do Christian, which that made me stop for a second to be like, oh, look at that. Like usually people are like, okay, sounds great. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the only not 1%ers right now, remember there's 10 left and there are 5 not 1%ers. Aubry, Cirie, Rizo, Joe, and Jonathan.
Yep.
So when you think about it, right, that means everybody else, whether it's Devens or Tiff or Emily, they are seen as the fat that is going to be trimmed, at least by these markets, right?
But I don't. But why? Like, why aren't they saying? Like, it seems like everyone's cognizant that there are alliances, right? And so, like, why aren't we picking off these alliances?
I hear you. I think.
Like, why isn't Ozzy gone? I know he's got an idol. Like, why isn't Cirie gone? You know what I mean? Like, why?
Everyone loves Cirie. Everyone's letting Cirie slide.
Yeah.
Everyone loves Cirie. I think these other, but no other alliances are that kind of fully formed or big. You saw like there was a clip of Devens and Aubry, for example, being like, or Jonathan and Aubry being like, okay, we got to ride together. But I don't think there's any fully formed understanding that's more than 2 people outside of Ozzy, Cirie, and Rizo.
Right.
So let me ask you this, because we've talked about, Billie Eilish and Jimmy Fallon and Zach Brown. What do you, and the pairs twist, which we liked because it involved gameplay.
Yes.
What do you think about Probst competing in the challenge?
No. Well, okay. Tell you what. I think it was a little bit cringy. I liked it a little bit. I like that, I don't believe for a second he hasn't tried any challenges before. He did not realize how hard it was.
Right.
I thought it was hilarious that someone, I think it was Devens, was saying like, come on, dig. And like 2 minutes later when he went back to hosting, he's coming, Aubry, you got to dig. Come on. Like it was, and not even like ironically. I didn't mind it. Like I don't, the Jimmy Fallon thing I hated. I'm just not this celebrity thing's got it. Like, please, can we not do this ever again? Like Jimmy Fallon voted on his show and stuff like that. Never again do I want to see any of that. But
you're gonna have Mr. Beast next week. It looks like.
I guess I'm okay. Believe it or not, I'm okay with Mr. Beast in real life. I don't know if I'm gonna like him on Survivor, but like.
Well, I'm just saying the quasi celebrity editions continue next week with a Mr. Beast Super Beware advantage.
Yeah.
So we'll see what that is. But it's better than Zach Brown because it's a Beware advantage, right? So that is obvious.
Do this
gameplay.
They got to do this on like season 51 when it's not returning players, when it's like all these super annoying super fans who are like, oh, I grew up while, I was 8 years old when, whoever won, and like this annoyingness, and they know how to play the game. And then the twists come in and it throws off these cocky people. Like, not on a game where you want to see like
the all-stars do battle, right?
Like, it's cool to throw some curves, but like, it's, I don't know, Dane.
I'm with you. I liked the Probst thing more than Zach Brown Band, I'll tell you that, but less than the pair twist, because at least there was some element with gambling for the rice and kind of some strategery there. But I do think the Mr. Beast one, because it's at least going to be tied to the Beware advantage, and that clearly involves gameplay, and I think that's what we're all about, right?
Right.
So for me, it was kind of in the middle. The one thing I do like, and you talked about Jeff hosting and his like what he's going to say, and there are markets about what will Probst say week to week that we should maybe look into at some point.
Yeah.
But I liked, and I have liked a couple of times this season where they do like kind of the callback montage to greatest moments from the past. Remember when Stephanie was doing her kind of journey challenge and they went back to hold the shoulder out and all that? I like that it gave us flashbacks of all the times Jeff was talking trash in previous seasons, and you saw young Jeff and some of the one-liners that he's had. And for Survivor fans that have been there for 20 some odd years and kind of remember all that, this was an excuse to kind of have that flashback montage. And I thought that was cool.
Did you catch Jonathan using the wrong form of haggling, saying, "Can we wager here, Jeff? Like 4 people instead of 6?"
Right. And they also cut Devens off. At one point, Devens was like, well, wait, what if you outlast this everyone? Do you win immunity? And they kind of cut that off too. So, like I said, better than Zach Brown, better than just a name dropping of Billie Eilish. But, the pairs twist was still the best. I'm interested to see what the Mr. Beast thing is going to be. And like, you don't need to name drop Jimmy Fallon. Like, you just did a challenge on a journey. What do you think about Christian having to vote for himself? We've never seen that either.
I like that a lot, actually.
Okay.
I know everyone was complaining about that. Like, ruined Christian's game. But dude, like you played rock. You tried to win. Ozzy was disappointed when he didn't win rock, paper, scissors to go on the journey. Like, by now you got to know. Come on, dude.
That is also, I forgot to say, that is to me another reason why Joe was my MVP. The people who win the challenge and either have to like pick people to go with them to the sanctuary or pick people to go on the journey, there is usually blowback from that. That is the first time I have seen someone in the moment live, be like, okay, y'all just rock, paper, scissors for it. Like, there was no blood on his hands for that choice and decision he had to make. And remember, Ozzy didn't like it that Christian had to go on it, right? People feel some kind of way, but no one blamed Joe, who technically had to make that decision. Right. I thought that was an awesome move by Joe, and another reason he was my MVP for the episode.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was good. It was kind of cringy having him do it. It seemed fake. I don't know why.
But it removed him from, the
smart.
blood.
Yeah, and it was all
I've
Joe
never
sent
seen someone do that before. That was a good move.
I like, and I think I knew, like, even I tried to think of a world where I didn't get spoiled by Kalshi. And I was like, all right, like, it's like when Coach was getting all that time and he was gone. And now Christian is getting this, like, for my son, if you fall down, just sometimes the smartest people feel dumb and you never see that. Like, I'm like, oh, he's gone, man. Like, there's no.
Well, he was up to 98%. I showed you during the week. He started at 90, zoomed up to 98%. So as soon as he was going on the journey and as soon as he had to vote against himself, I was like, we know how this is going.
There's some speculation I was seeing that like the one of the edits or one of the cuts, that was the tell, because he said something about how Jimmy Fallon's determining his fate in this game. And like when you see the Jimmy Fallon episode, you at least knew Christian got that far. I don't know if it was a tell that he was being eliminated or there's some other factor at work on that. But man, it is kind of like, I do kind of like it in a way, and I obviously hate it in a way, like getting spoiled by Kalshi, but I do kind of like the idea that we have a storyline, like, how is this going to happen?
That's fair. I mean, but we like it from the content angle. We don't like it from the betting angle. Right. It's two different lenses to look through. So if you're listening to us just to like get the recap, have some fun when you're jogging or at the gym or whatever, cool. If you're literally trying to find the edge in the markets, it may not be as helpful. However,
you shouldn't be doing it. Episode by episode, you should not be doing.
Right, fair. But I got to tell people, if you want the edge on Kalshi, what you need to do is go on over to the7oracles.com. You need to subscribe to our free newsletter. You need to register, go pro. We've got all sorts of great content, not only the podcast, The Antenna, videos, articles, great AI generated tools that will help you profit, even if you just use this for entertainment value. And we are hooking you up. If you use the promo code the7, the numeral 7, oracles at sign up, you will get not 1, not 2, but 6 free months. You can click around, find out, get so much profit. That'll take you through the NBA playoffs. That'll take you through the World Cup. That'll take you almost up to the election and all sorts of stuff to really make bank in these prediction markets. Go on over to the7oracles.com. Join us in the prediction Illuminati.
Hey, we should add, like, I know you said they're AI generated. Like, there's actually like a lot of human brain behind telling the AI what to do to make these tools. For sure. Like, yeah, I just don't want people thinking, oh, another AI thing. They know it, but I mean, like Benny Ricciardi, for those of you who know, like constantly, like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm tweaking this, I'm tweaking this. I think we should do this. It's like the AI part is almost like his assistant in a way.
Just doing the legwork, right? Yeah. But regardless, go to the7oracles.com, check us out. And at the very least, you can subscribe to the free newsletter, getting all sorts of good stuff. I mean, we're predicting who's going to be on the Drake album. We're predicting Rotten Tomatoes scores from movies. We're talking about all sorts of stuff. If you are looking to get the edge, we got it for you at the 7 Oracles.
We did American Idol this week.
American Idol, for sure. Like all sorts of good stuff. Nando even talked about at the top of the show. We will be live tonight during the NFL draft, finding ways to give you the edge as well.
Yes. Okay, Dane, let's go back as we wrap this up to the question you asked at the top. When do you want to start talking about getting out of some of these markets? Or are we I mean, like, dude, there's 2 episodes left, right?
Nah, there's more.
There's
I think
3,
it's like
sorry.
4.
I might be confusing American Idol.
Well, we're down to 10 players, and we think the finale will be with 5 or 6. We think there's another double elimination. I think it's right around Memorial Day weekend. So roughly, I think there's 4 episodes left. So I don't think we're there yet, because quite frankly, look at our positions, right? We like Tiffany at 1, even though she's one of the final 10, she's still at 1. We had Emily at 1, she's still at 1. The Cirie one would be the one that had the biggest kind of ascension. You got it at 10. It was as high as, I believe, 22. Yep. It's now back down to like 11 or 12. But you believe that you want to ride it all the way. So I don't think we do any of them yet. But I do think it's something to keep an eye on, because you're right. There's only like 2 or 3 more episodes at chance.
May 20th.
All right. So what is that? 4 weeks?
Yeah. Right.
So there's only going to be 3 more chances.
April 30th, May 6th, May 13th, May 20th. There's 4 episodes left.
Yeah. So there's only going to be you can't do it, going into the finale is your last chance, I guess.
Yeah.
So you really only got like 3 more chances. I don't think it's yet, but I do think it needs to be on the radar if you've been with us since day 1. And if you have, thank you. But the problem is there haven't been the movement in our 1%ers.
I think no Aubry. Here's the problem: is one of these spoilers comes out that Aubrey's going next week. It's almost like we've done a hedge by accident, because if it's not going to be Aubrey, everyone else is going to be a bigger piece of the pie. Yeah, and also, I mean, no Aubrey will crash, but we only had that was only a quarter. That was 25% of our $20 budget really when we started. So no Aubrey will crash the week that she's supposed to be done. And even if we get into the final with like Aubry, Cirie, and say Rizo. Right. That no Aubry is still in play, because you don't know who voted for who. Yeah.
If I guess I think our biggest positions that we are most confident in right now would be no Aubry, Cirie, Rizo, and I know you probably want to throw Ozzy in there, right?
Nah, there's a reason. I mean, like, look, dude, like we've been reading the tea leaves all year, like all year for a couple months, just based on the Kalshi movement and like what Kalshi looks like. And like, it's been wrong. It's been very wrong once. It was very wrong once. And it was Christian. Remember, it was Christian who was the high one who got flipped. But maybe people were just anticipating Christian and finally hit it. But like, there's got to be a reason Ozzy is still just 2 cents.
Right.
And he hasn't even risen up to 12 cents.
And Jonathan are ahead of him.
Dane, the first thing he lost in all this entire season is the rock, paper, scissors to not go on the journey. Like, he's been that dominant.
Right.
Well, I mean, he lost the challenge.
Joe beat him this week. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess in essence, you're right. Like, let's say we get to the finale and there's 5 or 6 left, and Aubry, Cirie, Rizo, Ozzy, or whatever, you know, are those 5 or 6, right?
Yeah.
At that point, Aubry is our only whammy. Because if it's anybody else, we hit the no Aubry.
Right.
And if it's not Aubry, it is very likely to be Cirie, Rizo, or Ozzy.
Right.
And there's a universe where we hit them both, where we hit the no Aubry and we hit, say, Rizo.
That's
right?
the thing. And even if we don't, like, we should maybe we consider, like, before that final episode, you know, on May 19th.
Edging with Aubry?
Well, we get the no Aubry, right? Like, maybe that'll be up to, like, a significant number by then, because people are just like, well, crap, what if it's not Aubry?
Right.
You know what I mean? They're going to be selling off the yeses to get some of those lower people. Because so Cirie last night said the final 3, so we know it's a final 3, right? She goes, I want to be sitting up there with the final 3 and the final. I don't think they would have left that in there if it wasn't a final 3. Like, that's a weird, deep super fan cut if you leave that in there and you trick everybody. So we know there's a final 3, and we got to assume that final 3 is a live vote. You know, like that's you just have to. So I mean, like, you go into that episode, Aubry's still alive. The no Aubry will have to be significant, I think. Because, and even like live during that episode, I would assume that the no Aubry will go up and up.
So you suggest that we cash that out?
I suggest we formulate a plan to maybe pull the parachute on maybe half of it.
I think that's right.
Maybe live during the episode.
Like, lock in kind of the investment, right? So that we don't lose. You know, I think there's a way to cash out a portion of the no Aubry, right? So that we at least don't lose. And then we're sitting there with, say, 2 horses in the final 5, right? So we do have that chance at great odds. Let's say it's Cirie and Rizo. And we have a little bit still of the no Aubry. But if even all of that loses by Aubry, in fact, winning the show, we have still made incremental profit on the cash out on no Aubry. Because if they go into the final 5, let's say, the no Aubry, right, will go from where we got it at 12.
Right.
It's got to be like in the 30s or 40s or 50s. And that will be a significant enough position for us to peel off and hedge.
I would also think, like, Aubry to win, if you're holding Aubry to wins at, you know, 80 cents,
right,
and we go into the final episode, they're going to start selling those and selling those and selling those, and it's going to push down. So the no is just kind of naturally going to seesaw its way up because people are selling it. You know what I mean? Like, people are like, okay, I'm cashing out now because now is when the uncertainty begins, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was somehow you can get whatever spoilers came out. Aubry made it to the final 3, right?
Right.
You know, that's just my hunch. This is more probably more of a John Legeza question, how the markets work.
Yeah.
But I know how human nature works, right? Like, if I'm holding a crap load of those and I'm
right, I think,
you know, like, that's what I would do.
So if we have no Aubry at 12,
yeah,
give me your gut. What's the threshold? Like, if no Aubry gets to 45%,
yeah,
do we sell?
I would, well, I kind of like 50. That's a rounder number.
50?
But I don't think it's going to get there. I think, 40. I would sell at 40. And look, I know, like, I'm not in, you know, for the purposes of the show and the purposes of advice, and if we were doing $500, not 5, 40 is a lot more attractive. You know, the 30, we've doubled our money. But I mean, we're talking $5, or maybe, 7, 8, 9 if you get up to that. But yeah, I think that's the smart move because we still have all the other stuff.
Right. We still have Cirie at 10-1, Rizo at 25-1, or whatever it is.
And if look, if we're wrong and Aubry wins, like you said, like, we cashed out with a beer. You know what I mean? Like, you and I can have 2 straws and a beer and enjoy ourselves.
If we get to the final episode and Aubry is one of 5 or 6, and we have multiple other people in the final 5 or 6. Call it Cirie, call it Rizo, call it Tiff, for God's sakes, call it Ozzy. Then I think we do, in fact, sell the no Aubry to lock in, like you said, couch cushions, a beer of profit, and then still have 3 of the final 6 to ride out with.
Right. And then we don't have to, be negative in our cheering on the finale.
Exactly.
We can cheer for yeses instead.
Yeah. We can back our people. Yeah. Positive.
Yeah, we're good guys. Yeah. Positivity always. All right. I want to thank you all for hanging with us once again. As always, So yeah, only 4 left. So only 4 of us left till we pick our new show. Maybe there's a Top Chef or something coming up, Dane.
We got to figure something out for June or whatever.
The antenna lives on.
You know, hey.
Yeah, we got this. And then there'll be another Survivor when that one's done. So we'll just ease right in.
Amazing Race or something. We got to do it, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you check out the draft special tonight. If you're listening to this after, then, maybe there's a recording you'd like to see for no reason. Anyway, thank you all. For Dane Martinez, I'm Nato DeFino. Goodbye.
The tribe has spoken.